Well, once again, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, How to Meet Your Veteran Diversity Goals Without Even Trying. I'm Michelle Cupchin, Senior Marketing Manager at Monster Worldwide, and today we'll hear from Military.com's Transition Master Coach, Jacey Eckhart, and Bob Melk, Monster's Chief Commercial Officer. Before we get started, just a note, you could use the Q&A or chat features throughout the presentation to ask questions, and we'll save time at the end to answer as many as we can. This webinar will be recorded, so you'll get a copy of the deck as well as the recording, and we will try to also include some Q&A in that email so you have something to follow up with. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to stop talking and pass it right over to Jacey. You all set, Jacey? Thank you. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. All right. So what is the #1 goal that your client or your company or your team says that they want for recruiting this year? Me, I'm hoping it is, oh, I don't know, fill empty jobs, because that's what you're so good at. But I betcha there is one other little thing they're looking for too. It's just so small. They also want you to have a diversity goal. Among hiring professionals in a recent industry study, 80% of them said that their company had a diversity goal for 2022. And so I'm assuming that's what you've got too. And for many of those employers, they're including a wish to recruit more veterans. I love these companies. Bless their patriotic hearts. But you know, it's hard enough to get a qualified candidate and then get them through interview, much less get them hired without that big find a veteran goal too. I know that you love the troops. We all love the troops, and there are a lot of them. According to the Bureau of Labor, 12.6 million of our people are veterans. They're actually working today, veterans. But that's like 6% of the total workforce. So that's not too few. But when you're the one that has to find that person, it can feel like you're looking for this red, white, and blue unicorn. I don't know about you, but I so love working with that unicorn. I can understand what you're going through. We totally got you. That's why we're here today, because I want to share with you about Military.com's new Veteran Employment Project and some of the great research and survey work that we've been able to do with them to find out some ways that you can reach them better without even really trying. So let me tell you, are you ready to learn more tips and tricks? Because, you know, late in the afternoon, it's time for tips and tricks. That's what I was hoping you were saying. Hello, I am Jacey Eckhart. I'm a military sociologist, and I am the transition master coach for Military.com. I have been training thousands and thousands of active duty military, National Guardsmen, reservists, special forces dudes, and military families for my entire career. I teach them how to make their work lives and their home lives better. Today, I am going to be sharing some of my work at Military.com because it's my job to kind of hold the space between the recruiters and the military candidates who are trying to find you. It's my job to recognize that they've got some blind spots and how to fix them. And I'm a good person to do this because I know the military the way you people in Dallas know Texas and the people in Dayton know Ohio. I was raised in the military like it was my home state. I'm an Air Force brat. I am a Navy wife. I am a Coast Guard sister, an Army mom, and a great big fan of the Marine Corps. I know these veterans, I work with them every day, and I know exactly what they're doing wrong in their job hunt and how to fix it so they can find you. I am not the only one working in this world. The Veteran Employment Project is actually the brainchild of Bob Melk. He is the Chief Commercial Officer for Monster Worldwide, and he is going to be here today because he is passionate about employers who are hiring veterans. So you're going to hear from Bob a little later. To understand what the Veteran Employment Project really is, I want to take just a second to tell you more about Military.com in case you haven't heard of it. Now, Military.com is not your typical employment site. Instead, we are the #1 news source for military and their families throughout their careers. If you want to put it in perspective, it's sort of like being the New York Times for defense news. We do it all. We have more than 10 million members that are signed up to our site, 13 million visits per month, 19 million page views per month. What I like about it is we're #1 for editorial when it comes to military, bar none. In fact, if you look up the keyword military, we rate higher than the Department of Defense, which kind of irritates them because they're .gov and we're .com, and you're not supposed to let that happen. But hey, military.com. Our users keep coming back to us because they trust us. We have a winning team, an award-winning team of defense news writers, and we also have content writers who are really great experts on how to use military benefits, all the different military cultural fun we like to have. And this piece with the veteran employment and spouse employment is just another piece of our coverage. We are more than news, though. We are also active in making lives better for the military. In these 3 stories I'm showing you right here, the Brandon Act, which improved mental health care for veterans, and turning the Air Force away from having their ban on Truvada reversed, and helping those Marine moms have a little bit more time to get back in shape before they had to go back to active duty. These are all things that we care about a lot, and so we move these aspects forward. The success of our veterans' employment efforts really depends on the overall health of the military.com brand. Our millions and millions of members trust us because they know we are just like them. Our team is made up of veterans, of Guard and reservists, of military spouses. We treat their concerns like they are family because they are family. These pictures are, in fact, of my own family, and the one on the left of all the guys in fatigues, one of those boys is mine. He was called up to Afghanistan last August. This is why we are so powerfully aware that military people are not a subject of pity. These are people we are not just proud of because they're wearing a uniform, but because of what we know they can do, what we see them do every day. So we do transition for them. The Veteran Employment Project is our way of helping them get through just a quick part of their careers where they're between jobs. These are some of the most motivated people. We know from the research that they are more likely to be employed than their matched civilian counterpart, especially the women. Those 1 in 6 military members who are women, they are more likely to be employed. So we do this a little differently. Instead of blaming you recruiters for not finding them, or begging employers to get to them, to hire from the bottom of their heart, or scolding the veterans themselves for not having a job yet, we help them identify where their blind spots are. And then we give them the skills. We teach them the skills so they can get to you and be findable by you. How are we doing this? There are really so many ways. First, we have our transition masterclasses that are held every month. And in these masterclasses, we call them masterclasses because the military really pride themselves on being able to figure out most things themselves. They have this little skill that they call Googling, where they can find out the basic stuff. They're really looking for that insight for what they don't know. They're hot on tips and tricks. So we have that. We have a weekly article that really helps them up their game with new skills they can learn. We have a weekly veteran employment newsletter that goes out. We offer chances to win personal coaching. And all of this material is available in our video library for them to watch when they're ready to watch it. Because when it's their transition, it comes upon them suddenly. So we do 2 kinds of masterclasses. The first kind is based on skill. Like, I can teach you how to write a resume so tight that a recruiter can look on it on their phone at a traffic light and decide whether or not they want to hire this person, bring this person in. They love that one. We also give them tips about things that are coming up, are things like how to find a job in tech, how to find a job in a medical field. There's a lot of problems there. I'm sure you guys know about getting the military certifications and the state certifications to go together. We also are looking at a second area of transition masterclasses. And this is different than for civilians, because for the military, your career level when you leave the military is essential. It's the biggest thing. So many programs look at them like they are all one group, all the same age. And that's simply not true. There's a big difference between our junior enlisted. The average amount of service they put in is only 6.7 years. It's just 1 or 2 tours that they're putting in. If they're junior officers, now these are going to be mostly people with a STEM degree and management experience and operations experience. This is the group that you recruiters come after the most. And so when they contact us frantically, they want to know, how do I handle this recruiter? What do I have to say to him? And so we've got a class for that, of course. About 35% of the military get out with an average of 12 years of experience. So this is really mid-career. And what we see in this group is they are super motivated to retool and get to the civilian world in another way. And there's a lot of opportunity for them to do that. So we've got a class on that. And finally, we've got our senior military members. And I know we think of everybody joining the military and then retiring from it with like this big healthy check, and that doesn't really happen. Only 15% of the people who ever join the military retire. And with this group, they know they've got to work that network into your organization. And so they're looking to find you. And for them, a lot of it is the networking and also being able to figure out for themselves where they actually belong in the outside world. And they really want to go to, what I hear from private coaching clients all the time is not interested in defense, not interested in government. They want to go to a private industry because they are looking for the second mountain. These are people who have been very successful in the first mountain. They're looking for that second mountain. So the next thing I really want you to think about for when we think about diversity is that the military really is diverse, especially we're racially diverse. One of the things that you'll see right here is that our veteran candidates very strongly represent the people in our nation. You'll see that it's only a percentage point or 2 away. And this is done on purpose this way. The military needs to reflect the country. So one of the things that we find among this very diverse force is that they are interested in learning these skills. We just started with the Veteran Employment Project in May. And even though there are a ton of programs out there, and I'm sure you're familiar with a lot of them, that we've already got 4,000 active job-seeking members that have joined our community. We've given 7 master classes so far, and because they're pretty informal like this, and we go for teaching and having fun at the same time, we've got a 98% rating of, I would recommend this to another colleague, which is really what we're going for right there. So here's all these people super motivated to find you. Just imagine them, and then imagine that you don't really want them to find you. Because what we hear from our talent acquisitions professionals is that you get snowed under with so many resumes from nice people who aren't actually qualified to do the job that you're trying to fill. Or they give you a resume that they expect you to translate it for them, which is never going to happen. You just don't have the time. So what we do with them is we know that it's usually not a problem that they don't have the skills you're looking for. It's usually a problem that they don't know how to describe the skills that you're looking for. Recently, we surveyed our Veteran Employment Project community, and we had more than 300 respondents, and we found that 56% of them, more than half, said that their worst problem is that resume, writing an effective resume. They're not blaming the applicant tracking system for not finding them. They just know they're not getting through because they're not doing it right yet. And we have a class for that. Our reverse resume class teaches them how to identify your keywords and then translate them for you. There's really 2 buckets of problems that we can fix there. The first one is they are using the wrong words, but they have the right skills. So we're teaching them that. But the second thing is that they have trouble identifying the job level that they're looking for. They have trouble identifying what jobs are really open to them. And one of the things we see right now in DEI is that there is so much emphasis on years of experience. And this is somewhere the military get really messed up because they're in a hierarchical organization. Of course they are, it's an institution. So they don't know exactly what you're looking for. So I really urge you, as you're working with your clients and working with your customers, that when they give you that job listing, have an eye out for that, because we know that when it comes to all diverse candidates, that the emphasis on years of experience versus skills at beginner, intermediate, or expert levels are really our differentiator. And you're missing a lot of the really good people that you can have that will get through that interview process. If you're looking for more ways to work with your job listing, I have a suggestion for you that I'm going to give you at the end of this program. So what kind of skills does this military group have that you'd actually want? I'm sure a lot of you are picturing my son with his weapon, standing at the airport, filling his live stream. That is not the guy that you're looking for. I want you instead to think of other skills that they have. The first one is always the security clearance. Only 2% of Americans actually have an active security clearance. Among our veteran employment population, 57% of them have an active clearance. If you count the ones with an inactive clearance, that's 70% of this population with that security clearance, which is so important, because especially for defense contracts, because you can't get the contract if you don't have the right kind of people. The second thing that we're looking for is management experience, people experience. Earlier last year, a study came out that employers were very willing to trust military with things, but they didn't really think of them when it came to managing people. It's not what they had in their heads. Well, of course not, because we've been watching what? Full Metal Jacket, right? Not exactly a management movie. So what you need to know about these people is they have a ton of management experience. When we asked them, what was the largest group you have ever managed? More than almost 50% of them said they had managed groups of more than 50 workers. We had one guy write us, and he was really offended because we wouldn't let him say how many thousands of people were in the group that he was doing. You'll see that almost no one said they had managed 0 people, because the military is really a people organization. And when I'm talking about management skills, I know some of you might be thinking that it's like, what are we going to do? Make them go run 17 miles or something if they don't turn in their project on time. That's not what they're talking about at all. We asked them about what is your most effective management tool? What's your most effective management tool? And 50% of them chose setting clear expectations as the number one thing that worked best for them. And you'll see that when it came to delivering consequences and adding punishments, 0 people picked that. 0 people picked that. And the reason is not because they're suddenly wearing an interview suit or they're trying to impress you. The reason is they are leading the same generations that you have at your office. They have Gen Z, they have Gen X, they have millennials. And management is not ordering people to do things. It's encouraging them to want to do them, or whatever your best boss might call it. But these are people that understand how to manage people in a very difficult job. One of the things that I really admire about them is that they work in, remember, they're working in a racially diverse group every single day. If you didn't have them in a diverse group, they would be surprised. They're working with people that are from every area of the country, rural backgrounds, urban backgrounds, East Coast, West Coast, they've got them all, and they've got a lot of experience there. The next thing that you're probably looking for that I think is really hard to find is we're looking for tech. Everybody's having trouble filling tech jobs this year. In our survey, 56% of our respondents say that they were using tech on their current military job. They were also reported top skills of critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration. I know we don't think of the military as collaborative, but they are working in cross-functional teams all the time. And sometimes they're working on cross-functional teams in different countries with people who don't even speak English. Leadership, of course, and really strong oral and written communication skills. What you might not know about this group, though, is unlike the civilian counterpart, they have access to free tech training, really great tech training, the industry standard. Amazon, Salesforce, and Microsoft have already got the jump on so many employers because they're offering training certifications before people ever leave the military. Trailhead, if you use Trailhead or Salesforce Trailhead as one of your search terms, you're going to be able to turn up more people. And these are the skills that everyone is using in the jobs. If you're trying to fill your funnel and you have somebody who's almost a good candidate, but they really need more skills, you can point them to some of these three, but also for tech training skills, Onward to Opportunity. That's a program, it's the government program that's out of Syracuse. It's absolutely free to military members. And they offer training in cybersecurity, information security, project manager certification, the PMP, but also the SHRM certifications. All those things. And one of the things you'll find about your veteran candidates is if you give them that kind of feedback, hey, you're really missing this kind of certification, they're going to jump on that and get after it. They also, because they have this long lead time, they have time to get that certification done before they're actually ready to be employed. And then the last one on here, SkillBridge. If you haven't heard of this program, this is a free program through the military where your company can offer a 6-week unpaid internship to a military member. It's a great way to get a tryout. And what we're finding is some of these smart companies are getting even the senior military people to come in for 6 weeks. You give them the tryout, and if you don't like them, no harm, no foul. But if you do like them, they're very hireable, and their hiring rate from that program is at 93%. So it's really working out well for everybody. We're in a good time for military employment. So if you're the one who's like thinking, okay, I can get some diversity right here. I'm thinking there are about 5 things you personally can do that'll make a big difference. The first one is start with that job listing. Often we don't mention veterans at all in a job listing, but one of the things I really like seeing is not just veterans may apply, but veterans and spouses encouraged to apply. It's sending out that little extra invitation that can help people get over their reluctance and send you an application. The second one is you got to fill your pipeline, and you can do it early. You know what these veterans want more than anything in the world? They want to have a job waiting for them when they leave the service. Remember, these are people who have gotten up at dark 30 for the past 10 years. They're the people who get to work and stay at work. And so the idea that they wouldn't have a job waiting for them is killing them. About 1 in 4 right now manage that, but this is what they're looking for. 58% of our users said that they wanted to find a company they could not only get into, but stay with for 5 years. These are your commitment people. Remember, that hire is never as good of a hire as that retained person. The next thing you can do, the third thing you can do, is adopt the 6% rule. Remember when I said earlier that 6% of the working Americans are veterans? Well, go back and check your numbers for last month. Do you have 6% of your people in your pipeline are veterans? Do you have 6% of your people in the pipeline who are going to interview are veterans? Are 6% of your hires veterans? It's a good thing to just go back and check. Now, my next one this is my favorite one. So this one I'm really hoping that you'll do, but it's the hardest one. So it's only for brave people. It's only for brave people. So one of the things that gets veterans the most is that when you see the hiring manager come back and you get the kind of feedback that is not backed up with facts, it'll sound something like, he's really a great guy, but I don't know how he'll fit in here. Or I don't know if she'll really be happy here. I want you to ask them this question. How will that affect the way this candidate will do the job? Often that is enough to kick the person over from their automatic behaviors to their intellectual behaviors. When they start thinking about it, well, I don't think that will affect it. So let's think about them again. I think this is an especially good push when you know that that client has a bookcase behind them that is chock full of military biographies. Really, those are the ones we need to be pushed on that the most. Okay, finally, number 5, link to our masterclass series. Here's what it looks like on military.com. And also share them on your LinkedIn. When you see this come through, share it on your LinkedIn, because these are really good classes to help people find the skills they need to get to the recruiters and make your job a whole lot easier. Now, I know I have shared a whole bunch of things super fast here today, but there's so much more that Monster and military.com can offer you. One of the things I'm really excited about is a new training that Monster is offering on veteran recruitment. It's a 90-minute program that can help your team understand more about how do we find the right veterans, how do we interview them right, how do we get them in that funnel so that they're there when we need them most. To hear more about this, I have brought Bob Melk from Monster. And Bob, tell us a little bit more about why this is such a great program.
Thank you so much, Jacey. I really thank you so much for providing your expertise, your insights, and of course, your passion. The Veteran Employment Project it truly is an amazing program because of the unique access and trust that the military.com brand has with the veteran population. And if your company is eager to learn and engage with this community, this program that Monster and Military have collaborated on offers an opportunity for a limited number of employers to establish their brand value through partnership that increases your access to military talent, the very talent that Jacey has been advocating for. They self-identify up to, and if you go to the next slide, please, they self-identify up to a year in advance, and they look at their civilian job hunt as a project that they have to tackle. And they are willing to share information with a brand they trust. So when they register for the Veteran Employment Project's gated master classes, they do share contact information and their years of service, education level, military job codes and experience, as well as their security clearance information. But that is something, again, that is earned with the trust that they have with this brand, and by extension, it would be shared with the employers that are a part of the community. And finally, I just want to say that it's really important to build trust by getting known. In our survey, veterans overwhelmingly said that they care about company culture. You heard Jacey mention this. They trust what they know. Veterans are not ready to just send their resume out, especially if they have security clearance, unless they understand, unless they have an established trust with your brand. That's why our veteran employment program is so valuable, because it does allow employers to get exposure with an audience and begin to establish a relationship with prospect employees and vice versa. If sponsoring a transition masterclass, including our military skills translator on your website, or taking advantage of other diversity hiring solutions that Monster offers in collaboration with military.com, is of interest to you or your organization, I hope that you will reach out to me or to Jacey for more information. And that's it for me. On that note, I'll just throw it over to Michelle, and I think she's going to give us a few words before we open it up to some questions.
Yes, thank you, Bob and Jacey. I realize we were scheduled for 3:30 today, but there's so much information. So if you'd like to stay on, please do. We'll take some questions. Otherwise, understand you can drop off. We will send a recording of this webinar, so you'll be able to catch up. along again, like I said, with the slide deck and some Q&A. So Missy, my colleague, our marketing manager, is going to help me with the questions. Missy, I turn it over to you.
Sure thing. So the first one I see here, we're asking, how is it that the employers can go about posting a job on military.com?
With that one, if you reach out to me, I can put you in contact with the person that you need to talk to about that.
Generally, if you want to post a job on military.com, you would engage with a Monster sales rep. Monster and Ronstadt, the parent company, are the proud owners of the military.com business. So all the job functionality is run by Monster. So if you get in touch with either Jacey or myself, we can put you in touch with a Monster sales rep, and they can offer you a full view of not only how you can post a job on military, but also how you can take advantage of this employment program or more diversity solutions that we do offer.
And we may not have this information on hand, but there was a question, do we know what percentage of vets take contract work or gig work versus full-time employment? Or do we think, if we don't know that exact percentage, is that something that's having an impact on this group?
What we have that reported, how the military reports that is as they are underemployed, where we don't call it gig work, and we really need to start calling it gig work because that's how the world works now. But that's often what we know that they do the first thing when they get out, or they'll do a side hustle with the job that they've got. We've got a lot of active duty military who have all kinds of side hustles that they're doing that often turn into their gig after their military service.
Okay, great. We have a couple more, actually a lot of interesting questions about posting. So here's one. What is your veteran hit rate on job posting, and how do you differentiate that posting specifically for veterans from a normal posting?
Oh, Bob, that's for you.
So yeah, this is a good question. I'm going to take the first half and I'm going to punt it, and then I'm going to give you the second half. Because the first half, I don't have the answer regarding the hit rate. What I will tell you is this: military.com, as you heard early on in Jacey's presentation, is an editorial site. It provides value far beyond helping our veterans find a job in the private sector. But that said, we obviously do also help veterans in that area, and we do have a job board on military.com. I do think that it has a strong engagement among military, and through programs like the one that Jacey has been talking about, we're working to establish a stronger relationship with veterans on military.com and helping them find their jobs. So there you see, I punted on my answer, and I'm going to let Jacey speak to the second part, which I think Missy was related to how to make sure the posting is as relevant as possible. And I know, Jacey, you've already commented on that, so maybe you just want to highlight that point again.
I think the way to make it most relevant is actually what you guys end up doing more is, one of the things we know about military is they hesitate to apply. So if you have posted your job and you're starting to look at the people there, often you leave a lot of people, they don't get looked at because they applied late. Often that's where your diversity candidates are. They're later because they had that moment of hesitation. So look at the first ones you have, but then also go to the end to see if you can pick up some more diverse people, because often what they're looking for, remember, these aren't people who are looking for a handout. They want a chance to interview.
Thank you, Jacey. Missy, I think that's probably all we have time for today, but Jacey, Missy, and I will work together to answer some of the questions that are in the chat and in the Q&A, and we'll do our best to include some of those key ones or some of the trending ones in our email follow-up tomorrow. I just want to thank everyone. We had such great panelists today, Bob and Jacey, for your time and expertise. It was so packed with information. I'm sure everybody is excited to get started on their own plans. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have a
And I have
wonderful week.
one last thing, Michelle,
Of
if I can do
course.
one more thing before I go. Right now, I have worked on an article called What the Recruiter Wants You to Know. And I would love for you to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I've got my LinkedIn right here. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. I would love to have your tips and tricks to pass on to them because they are seriously trying to flirt with you. They want to know you. So anything you can give them. I know a lot of you noticed this, but I hope you noticed that in every single slide, there was a unicorn on that slide. And that's where you're going to find military because they're not really unicorns. They're everywhere you're looking. Just have to know what the search terms are. So please reach out to me on LinkedIn. We'll look forward to seeing you on military.com. And thanks everybody for coming.